Welcome back around theCUBE. Here at our New York Stock Exchange studio, I'm John Furrier, host of theCUBE. This is part of our mixture of experts here. We have an expert, but also a double win. We also have a crypto trailblazer here. Vishal Garg is the CEO and founder of Better.com. Vishal, great to have you on theCUBE. You're a twofer. You got a little mixture of experts, and you're kind of the crypto trailblazer. You hit both of our episodes.
Oh no, thank you so much. It's such a pleasure to be here.
You guys are doing some pretty fascinating things, obviously, with on the home side. But talk about Better.com. What do you guys do? I want to set the table for what you guys do, and then I want to jump in with some questions.
Yeah, we're the first AI native mortgage and home equity finance company in the US. We've built a server, an MCP server called Betsy on top of Tin Man, which is our rules engine based matching engine between consumer data, property data, which we containerize and then match with institutions' credit criteria for making a home finance. So Fannie, Freddie, 45 other investors, home equity loans, and beyond. And so we're enabling consumers to transact and finance their mortgage in minutes rather than days or weeks like a traditional mortgage company. And then from there, once we've done that and containerize the mortgage itself, we're then able to do any number of things beyond with it.
So you can take that and put it to work?
Yes.
So you're targeting consumers, not institutions or both?
Yeah, we're targeting both because we have consumers, and then the business that we've built for ourselves and the platform we've built for ourselves over the past 2 years, as the incumbents are now sort of feeling the meteor that is artificial intelligence and agentic AI, they're all coming and saying, hey, can we use your platform? And so we've announced some very large partnerships, one of the largest personal financial services sites in the country, the top 5 mortgage originator. They're all moving to our platform.
When did you start the company?
I started about 10 years ago.
All right, so this, again, maybe a threefer here with the cloud native angle. So you mentioned containers. It's interesting with AI, AI done right on the AI native side, there's certain patterns. One is, are you in the cloud, are you using data effectively? The way you're handling the mortgage, you're isolating it out as an asset, putting a container around, you mentioned MCP server, you're actually cloud native. Again,
100%.
Stacks, fully scalable.
Yep.
Cloud native is as boring and scalable now as we've ever seen. With Kubernetes, really just good DevOps.
Exactly, and I mean, it's the first new platform in 25 years in the mortgage industry. The last platform was built on Windows 95 architecture. Only one person can be in the consumer file at a time. So how are you going to put agentic AI when you've got to go ask Becky, the underwriter, to get out of the file like we used to back in the SharePoint days? So that's what we're dealing with.
Triggering moment,
that's
SharePoint.
Right. Yeah.
Well, you're also pointing out the fact that you kind of set the table. You kind of almost had the world spun in your direction with AI. Take us through what happened next, because now that you have this kind of discrete instrumentation, if you will, of the asset.
Yep.
What happens next? What does AI do for you? How does that play out?
Well, we've taken the process with just a machine learning driven rules engine. We took the process from making 55 days to make a mortgage approval, took it down to 1 day mortgage, right? So we got there. Now we're able to do mortgage approvals in 2 minutes. That used to take, the rest of the industry 15 to 21 days, used to take us a day. And so what we're doing by effectively creating the ability for people to finance their houses in the way that you can finance equities on a margin loan, like instantly, you basically are liquefying real estate and making it a much more liquid asset. You've got $64 trillion of residential real estate globally, $39 trillion in the United States, and that asset is a dormant asset, and now you can allow people to draw home equity against it instantly. You can allow people to pay for other things, consolidate their debts, pay off their credit cards. The average user on Better's platform today is saving $1,100 a month and having their credit score go up by 37 points if they get a home equity line from us.
Yeah, it's a solution that gives them more leverage for themselves versus somebody else.
That's right.
Talk about the AI piece of it, because now that you have the AI native, you start to see products roll out, and one of the hottest areas we're covering in our AI section is these vertical models. You're starting to see verticalization. You play in a very interesting vertical. There's assets. Real world assets. That's another buzzword. Real world assets on chain is coming. It's here. So you got the verticalization. So a lot of people participating in that market, and you got some market shifts on the tech side. Yeah.
So what you're doing is by deploying vertical AI into effectively an expert labor driven task business, which is like mortgage loan officers, mortgage underwriters, you're basically taking all of the transactional friction out. Also, the output file is something that is not stored in PDFs. It's actually a data string, which then allows for real world tokenization, and you can take the data string. So investor A wants to buy assets in zip code 11375 with this parameters of FICO, credit, DTI, LTV. That has never been possible before. Now you can go and sell them a piece of it and a token. Now, you today we go to a bank and we put our money in the bank and we get 2%. And what does the bank do? The bank goes and lends it out at 6% against a government guaranteed mortgage. Well, what if you could just own a couple of tokens of that mortgage? You suddenly change the entire definition of what it makes. Can you make a bank yourself? Can you say, hey, can I have JP Morgan? Oh, JP Morgan's got 19% of its portfolio in auto loans, 12% in corporate credit, 40% in mortgages. Well, press this button and I've got my AI advisor and he'll replicate the JP Morgan portfolio, but instead of like 400 basis points going to the banking system, that 400 basis points is coming to you.
Yeah, I mean, so this is like one of the biggest, like I think most important, underreported topics, which is the power of the data the users have goes to them. I mean, I'll never forget when people started to discover how Facebook worked and the cliche went, if you're the product.
Right.
Because they're selling advertising against you. In a way, that's what the middlemen were taking off the table in your business.
Yes.
You just shift that paradigm and say, hey, you own your data, you own your asset.
Yes.
Why aren't you putting that in your pocket?
The data is the asset in consumer credit, right? All consumer credit and all consumer credit pricing is based on your attributes or the asset's attributes. And so, you control that as a consumer. So if you can then effectively allow an institutional marketplace just to bid against it for extending you credit against your future income, against the value of this asset, against the rental income you get, it's a whole new world.
So you guys got a lot going for you. So I want to ask, just give some stats, put a plug in for some of the stats on customers and just some numbers you can share.
Yeah, sure. We funded 111 billion of loans on the platform, 600,000 families. Average user has saved $21,000 on a refinance, $30,000 on a purchase. If you get a better mortgage, you're saving about $1,200 a year on a $400,000 mortgage versus like the competition.
And that's real money.
And that's real money for an average
And the other thing too, I point out, anyone who's done a mortgage has gone through the knothole. It's a freaking hassle.
Yes.
I mean, it is a pain in the butt.
Yeah.
How do you guys make that less frictionless? Give us an example of kind of like time it takes.
Well, we're taking the data from third-party sources. We're compiling all of that. We do the work for you. That's the difference. I think, V1 of the internet was all these marketplaces like Expedia for flights and hotels and things like that. They show you choice. LendingTree, they show you choice. The AI era is it shows you the choice, it gives you a recommendation, and then it does it for you. So we take what someone gets at like a Goldman Sachs private wealth management, and we bring it down to the average American family. So I call it like giving them a 4 seasons experience at a 4 points price.
I mean, this is the benefit of technology. I interviewed a guy named Jeff Hammerbacher, founder of Cloudera, 2010, and he ended up quitting the company because he was a PhD and he was a super smart math guy. But his comment was, well quoted, all the brightest minds in the industry are working about how to have an ad show up better on the screen.
Right.
Hence the recommendation engine you were pointing to. Now we're shifting to a world where if you own your data, you get the value. And now with the US regulation around crypto,
that's right.
You're seeing the decentralized infrastructure, Bitcoin, Ethereum, the infrastructure, and the crypto as currency, digital currency, blend in with the physical world. And if you look at companies like NVIDIA, physical AI is what they talk about now, a little bit different context, and they have different tokens for different things, but this physical digital convergence is happening. What is that going to do for your business? Because you got the Genius Act, the Clarity Act, clearing lines of sight into unit economics with the stable coin. How is that impacting your services?
I think the future holds where almost every major financial services company, all the fintechs, like you don't need to be a bank anymore. Right? You can provide a variety of coins, so you can have your own stable coin, which is basically, okay, fine, you take a deposit, provide the rewards in the form of whatever product you do. But then as you get consumers to adopt your stable coin, from there with frictionless commerce, frictionless paying your contractor, frictionless paying your gardener, frictionless paying all those people, right? They're not getting a 3% scrape from Visa, MasterCard, or whatever, and they're earning yield along the way. You then go to the next step. Okay, fine, can I tokenize my mortgage? Right? Can I now take this 6% rate and bring it back to the consumer at a much lower cost of funds? The lower the cost of funds, the lower the cost of funds back to you, as a user, and you start to and all of these are government guaranteed assets. Then eventually, once you get that user base comfortable, well, home equity.
Yeah.
And everything else.
I mean, one of the things I think is encouraging the way you're talking is, there's a lot of mainstream press talking about the gloom and doom of many things, but one of them is home ownership.
Yeah.
And it's proven that if people have home ownership, they have, solid families, but people aren't buying homes now until they're like 40.
Yeah.
Right. So like that's a huge problem versus say in the 20s. Do you see this potentially, because most of the people under the age of 30, they know what crypto is.
Right.
So they can probably grok the idea of store of value, productive assets, real world assets on chain. Do you see a future where that might turn around?
I think so, totally, because I think what you have with the power of tokenization, 27% of the cost of building a home for a home builder is financing costs. So with tokenization, you can get financing to buy a piece of land. With tokenization, you can get financing to build these materials from a house because you have completely transparency as to where the money is going. Like, so much of the financing cost excesses in all of the process of making a home or making new homes is built around information inefficiency and fraud. And so if you, with tokenization, you get rid of all of those things, then you dramatically lower the cost of building houses, which means more houses get built, which means, you know, more people can own homes.
More access, it's a good thing. You know, you mentioned earlier taking friction out of the process. One of the things I see in AI right now and good use cases of tokenization is that these vertical apps are really targeting friction, operational friction. What's your thoughts on that, comments?
I think if you look at financial services, the entire business of financial services works on operational friction. Right? I remember after the credit crisis, I went to go see a bank in the United Kingdom and he said, well, you know, operational friction is our method of credit underwriting, meaning if you're really willing to be able to get through this process, then you're probably a good credit. You know?
Outlast, outwit.
Yeah,
it's like a game of Survivor. Oh my God. So I want to ask you about entrepreneurship, because this is more of a personal question. Since I opened up the studio from Palo Alto, I noticed that there's a New York scene here in finance, especially with the DeFi and TradFi, or I call it back end, front end, but there's almost like a financial entrepreneurship I've never seen in my career. I mean, financial entrepreneurship's been around. I call it hustle entrepreneurship. Ride some payment rails, make some money, buy a boat, buy a house in the Hamptons. Not too shabby, but not structural takedown territory.
Right.
You're starting to see like product management, new kinds of products and services emerge from these new efficiencies. So the question is, what do you see as entrepreneurial opportunities or white spaces or even big space for people to come in and take territory? What's going to be enabled? Because, you know, if you make things faster, simpler, and easier to use, and take away middlemen, a new form might come in to accelerate. It's not friction, it fits. What's your view on that financial, what products emerge? What do you see as the next product management role in finance products?
I think the interesting thing is that New York City, you know, if you were smart and hungry, you'd go work on the street, you'd go work at a private equity fund, you would go work at a hedge fund. And, you know, I did a lot of those things, and I just felt each time I was like helping rich people get richer. And there's nothing more empowering than taking those same tools and then saying, hey, I can containerize this product that I'm building, I'm containerizing this model that I'm building, and I'm actually taking that power and distributing it to 1 million consumers. And instead of those 1 million consumers, you know, me making like a billionaire an extra $1 billion, I'm making these 1 million consumers $1,000 richer. And that's a lot more meaningful, and I think that's what's possible here. Global banking system profits, which is taking money from consumers, guaranteed by the government, and lending it to consumers, mostly guaranteed by the government, is $1.2 trillion.
And taking a big cut.
$1.2 trillion global banking system profits for intermediating PDFs and data.
Yeah, I mean, I think, you know, when you have domain expertise, which is one of the buzzwords we hear a lot in all the AI content, domain intelligence. I mean, you could be like 4 years working at Goldman Sachs in the credit department and be like, hey, I could actually go do it better.
Yes.
Take a unique, specific process and categorically change the industry.
Yeah. I mean, those of us who work on Wall Street and work 16 hours a day, right? Like, there's one thing that the AI does better than what we do. It doesn't have to stop. It works 24 hours a day.
Make money while you sleep.
It keeps asking the marginal question. It goes one step deeper, one step deeper. And that's what you learn in early days of finance. It's like, oh, okay, there's a discovery premium, there's a hustle premium. You can keep going deeper and deeper. But once you train the machine to do that, the machine can just do it over and over and over again. And so you can take the process that would go into like project finance for a power plant, for a $1 billion power plant, and you can take that same process and bring it down to an American consumer and say, how can I get this person approved for a loan? So today on Better's platform with Tin Man, you are not allowed as a human underwriter to reject a loan until Betsy has reviewed it and exhausted all options.
It's like guardrails in the other direction. I think this is one of the biggest things that people don't talk about, because I think creativity, intelligence, AI scales intelligence.
Yes.
If you think about it. So if you can get line of sight on some unit economics, it doesn't have to be a massive go big or go home kind of Silicon Valley play. You can just like knock down a category. I mean, the long tail of wealth creation, especially with agentic coming, you can certainly automate, but now you can repeat or refactor.
No, and you can train it on the best of us. Not the average of us, but the best of us. And then it can take the process that the best of us does and create it repeatable for everyone.
And also get at use cases that aren't general purpose. We're seeing that in healthcare, just in X-ray scans, for instance, on cancer treatment. They can actually have AI look at things and have this fast discovery at massive scale.
Right.
That's awesome. Well, I'm excited for you. I think you guys got the nice cloud native, you got the crypto trailblazer, you got the mixture of experts on the AI side.
Thank you so much.
World's looking good for you. What's the forecast for you guys? What's on your plate? What are you optimizing for?
Well, I mean, we've told the street we're going to double our business in the next 6 months and then continue to grow beyond. We're the fastest growing home equity finance company in America today. So we're just helping consumers, live a better life by getting a better mortgage or a better home equity loan.
Just keep getting better. That's the AI. Keep iterating. Thanks for coming on. Appreciate you.
Thank you so much.
All right, we got a mixture of expert and trailblazer here in theCUBE. Again, the world is changing. The physical and digital worlds are coming together. The money system, the value propositions, and our experiences with the world we live around us is completely changing and working on our behalf. That's the big trend here. Of course, theCUBE's doing its part to bring that to you. Thanks for watching.